Jujutsu Kaisen goes by a ranking system called grades. The lowest grade is grade 4 and the highest grade is special grade. And you would think that, the main character and two other main characters would have some sort of grade that was obvious or would be obvious where they ranked in the series, but Yuji is the only person out of Yuji, Maki, and Hakari that has an obvious ranking. You see, Yuji is the only person out of these three whose grade makes the most sense for what we know. Yuji has been nominated for grade 1 and that happened at the end of the Goodwill event, but Maki on the other hand, as strong as she is only grade 4. Now, we know that she's not actually grade 4 in strength, it's just stated that the Zenin family doesn't like Maki, so they're holding her back in the ranking systems. And for Hakari, we actually don't even know what grade he's in. He's been expelled from the Jujutsu high schools, so we don't even know if he's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, or grade 4. But we do know for a fact that he is not a special grade because even if he was expelled but was a special grade, he would still be referenced as a special grade sorcerer, as that is what happened to Geto after he was expelled from the Jujutsu high school. But he's not. So we know that Hakari had one of the grades between 4 and 1 before he was expelled from the high school. But who cares what the high school had him ranked? We see more of Hakari now that he's been expelled. We've seen all of the feats that he's had against his fight with Charles, Yuji, and most importantly his fight with Kashimo. And for Maki, the Zenin family is now dead. They can't even hold her ranking back anymore, and she is now equal to Toji. So her ranking being grade 4 obviously doesn't make sense anymore. In Yuji, who is our main character, we've seen him get stronger throughout the entire series. From every arc and every fight that he's been in, Yuji continues to grow to new heights. Maki has a grade that clearly does not fit her. Hakari, we don't even know if he has a grade. And Yuji's grade is in question for today's video on whether or not these three sorcerers should be given special grade. So we should set a standard for what constitutes a special grade sorcerer before we deep dive into whether or not they should be given this rank. We know that Kinjaku says that a special grade is somebody who can single-handedly overthrow a nation, but Gojo says that a special grade is somebody who is just that, special. With these two definitions and the way special grade sorcerers are presented in the series, we can get a feeling for what a special grade should be. So in this video, we'll be taking somebody as a special grade if they have power that is equal to, comparable, or stronger than any of the special grades that we've known in the series so far. Alright, and before we get completely into it, let me bring up one statement that people might bring up when they say that Maki shouldn't be graded, because it is said in the fanbook that Toji cannot be graded because people who are gifted through a heavenly restriction are not graded by the Jujutsu Society. Now, we know that all the higher-ups are dead in the manga as of now, but if they do continue to not grade somebody like Maki, then for her case, we'll just be seeing if she is special grade level, but it is possible with all of the higher ups dead and Maki being on the good guy's side, they can give her a grade. Now, for Yuji and Hakari, since they have curse energy and are just Jujutsu sorcerers, of course they would be eligible for the special grade rank if they displayed the power. So now with that being said, let's get into whether or not Hakari, Yuji, and Maki should be given the special grade rank. So let's start off with Hakari. Should somebody whose power is based on luck be given the special grade rank? And is this power enough to even give him the special grade rank? Well, let's take a look at how powerful Hakari is whenever he enters his jackpot state. One statement that we've gotten before from Yuta is that whenever Hakari is on a roll, Hakari is stronger than he is. But let's talk about this statement very quickly because it does say in this same panel that Maki disagrees with this. But we do know that even though Maki is disagreeing here, this statement has been basically validated in the recent chapters whenever it's said that Gojo actually told Yuta and Hakari that if at any point in the fight with Sukuna, Gojo got below Yuta and Hakari level, then Yuta and Hakari should step in. So this statement is basically putting Yuta and Hakari on the same level through Gojo's eyes. Now, the statement from Yuta does say that Hakari is stronger than him on a roll. Now, whether or not you believe that Hakari is stronger, the point still stands that we have another statement from Gojo that Yuta and Hakari are the same level. Now, I do want to point something out about this statement. Maki is actually not included, signifying that there there is some sort of gap in strength between Yuta and Hakari and Maki, but we'll get into that when we get to Maki's part of the video. So in this jackpot state, we know that Hakari gets 3 very big boosts. The first is that for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, he will be given an infinite amount of curse energy at his disposal. And I do want to point out that infinite amount of curse energy does not mean infinite curse energy output. It just means that he has a pool of infinite curse energy to use while fighting an opponent. And the second thing he gets is automatic reverse curse technique around the clock on his body for those 4 minutes and 11 seconds, which means that even if a limb of his is blown off like we see in the fight with Kashimo, the limb will just instantly grow back. And we also know the third boost is that if he is in his jackpot state, as long as he keeps getting lucky, he will keep hitting the jackpot over and over again, resetting the 4 minute and 11 second timer. One of the most impressive things about Hakari in his fights is that he is able to keep a calm head and think on his feet in high intensity situations. We see when he's in his fight with Kashimo, Kashimo lets off a lightning bolt that blasts his arm off, and as Kashimo tries to pursue Hakari thinking that he has fatally wounded him, Hakari just kicks Kashimo in the face and regrows his arm. Hakari started a 2-hit combination with a missing arm because he knew by the time he wanted to hit Kashimo, the arm would have grown back and would be there. Now I am going to talk about Hakari's other abilities, but I really want to hit the nail on the head here that being able to fight with missing limbs because you know they would just regrow instantly is an insane advantage for any sorcerer in a fight, especially somebody who is able to hit his hard and move as fast as Hakari is. This basically means that no blow would be able to take Hakari out for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, which is why he is called effectively immortal. And I want to talk about that for just a moment. Why he is called effectively immortal and not just outright immortal. This is because you actually can kill Hakari, but that is only if you hit him in the head. Because we know that RCT comes from the head and then flows throughout the rest of the body. So if you are able to destroy the head in a single blow, then, well, you've killed Hakari. He can't heal his head because the RCT spawns from the head. If you can kill the spawning point of the RCT, you kill the sorcerer. But we do know that Hakari has got hit by lightning in the head before, but his brain was able to heal itself before the lightning was able to do any fatal damage. And I'm glad that Gege showed Hakari actually taking a blow to the head to show that even if you do hit him there, it doesn't just mean you've won. Yes, say if Hakari was to fight Sukuna and Sukuna slashed Hakari's neck off, well then yeah, you know, Hakari would die. His head is completely disconnected from the rest of his body. But if we have a situation like Kashimo's where a lightning bolt hits him in the head, his RCT would be able to heal his head before the lightning bolt destroys it. So it really just depends on the attack he is hit with. But this does mean that if Sukuna was to slash off Hakari's legs and arms, they would just grow right back. Even if Hakari was hit in the side by a purple like Toji was, Hakari would still live because the body part would just regenerate. And that is what happened in this fight with Kashimo. We saw that Hakari's side had blown off, but he hit the jackpot and he gained his side back. But that's enough talking about the instant RCT that Hakari gets. We should now talk about the infinite amount of curse energy that Hakari gets whenever he's in his jackpot state. We know that he has a pool of infinite amount of curse energy to use while in a fight. And this is very, very important because every other sorcerer while they're fighting somebody expends curse energy. Especially if you're in a high intensity fight where you have to use your big attacks, you will lose curse energy and get weaker before your opponent does. And we even saw this in the case when Yuta was fighting against Ryu and Uro. Before Yuta called on Rika, he was actually running low on curse energy. This is because he was using RCT to heal himself, and he was also trying to fight against Ryu and Uro at the same time, so Yuta was just sitting there getting weaker. But in the case of Hakari, he doesn't get any weaker when he expends curse energy because he just gets it right back. This is another insane advantage combined with the instant RCT, the ability to just keep moving forward, regrowing your limbs, and healing any damage that you take. But one thing about this, all of these abilities are based on luck, and I said this at the beginning of the Hakari section. Can we truly call somebody special grade even if they do reach this special grade level in power, this power is achieved by luck. We see in Hakari's fight with Charles that he says it's never taken him more than 30 tries to hit a jackpot, but 30 tries is a lot of tries. Now in all of the fights we've actually seen Hakari in, he hits the jackpot rather quickly, especially in the fight with Kashimo where he just keeps hitting it over and over. And we know that one of the reasons he was able to hit the jackpot over and over against Kashimo is because while he is in a jackpot state, he has a higher chance of hitting a jackpot if he opens up his domain and plays the game. So whenever Hakari does begin on a roll, he has a higher chance of staying on a roll. We also do know, and it's just outright stated, that Hakari is extremely lucky. It is in character for Hakari to get lucky and hit jackpots whenever he needs them most. And I do want to reference back that Gojo statement for just 1 second where he said that Yuta and Hakari are the same level. Without this statement, I would probably still say Hakari should be given the special grade rank, but Gojo's reinforcement and belief in Hakari that he is this level further reinforces the idea that Hakari is actually a special grade level sorcerer, and for all of the reasons I've already said, plus the Gojo statement, I agree that Hakari should be given the special grade rank. Now next up we have Maki, the grade 4 sorcerer who is equal to Toji, and I do just want to say, if Maki was ever promoted to special grade, this would undoubtedly be the highest jump in grades we would have ever seen in Jujutsu Kaisen. An automatic promotion from grade 4 to special grade is actually unbelievable. And I do want to bring up this statement because some people actually haven't seen it. Maki is stated by Gege to be on the same level as Toji now. It's not something that people have just been saying or making up because their bodies are now the same. It actually is just outright said that Maki and Toji are the same level. And in this same panel, it is actually stated that Maki is the god of war, as Gege calls it. One of the more impressive statements we have for Maki's strength in comparison to the current cast is that Kinjaku says that she is a part of the heavy hitters for Jujutsu High. Now the reason this statement is so important is because Kinjaku is essentially looking at all of the sorcerers that would be left if Gojo lost, and he is saying that Yuta, Hakari, and Maki are of a higher level than the rest of them, and they have power to such a degree that he views they should be grouped together and separated from everybody else. But even though here Maki is grouped together with Yuta and Hakari, remember that Gojo statement where Gojo distinguishes a gap between Yuta, Hakari, and Maki in terms of power? What we have to do here is determine whether or not that gap between Maki and those two is small enough to where she can still be called a special grade level sorcerer. And the word sorcerer actually isn't fitting for Maki, so we should probably just call her a special grade fighter for the remaining of this video. Alright, so let's look at these strengths that Maki has, and it's actually good that she is stated equal to Toji, because this means we can look at Maki and Toji's feats and sort of sum them up to get a gauge for how strong Maki is. So let's look at some of the impressive things that Maki has done. Well, one thing we know is that she is able on her own to completely wipe out one of the big three families, and she did this to the Zenin clan. It is also stated while Maki was wiping them out that Toji also could have destroyed the Zenin clan, that the only reason the clan even existed is because Toji didn't go attack them. Now, being able to take out one of the big three families by yourself is an insane feat, but we also do have another statement for Maki by Kinjaku in one of the recent chapters that actually sort of implies that he would be worried if Maki came across him. In chapter 239, whenever Kinjaku is talking about how he keeps tabs on everybody in the Culling games by their curse energy amount, he brings up how he can't keep tabs on Maki because she has no curse energy. And then we also see that he brings up Mei-Mei's younger brother that has some sort of teleportation technique, which means that this little brother will be able to teleport Maki to a random location. Now, we see that he gets asked if this means that he's lacking any confidence and that Kinjaku is ready to run at any time, and Kinjaku says, "My point is that it's just the two of us." Now, what Kinjaku might be implying here is that he would be willing to run if Maki was teleported in front of him in order to fight him. Now, this would actually make sense. It's not that Kinjaku was afraid he would lose outright, but it's just sort of a risk fighting somebody who your domain would not work against. Because we know it's stated in the fight with Naoya, the domains treat people's bodies like Maki and Toji's as buildings. So Kinjaku would not be able to use his domain expansion. His curses also would not work because Maki has the soul liberation blade, so she would just cut through all the curses. So Kinjaku would just be dwindled down to just his gravity technique in a fight with Maki. If you are Kinjaku, this is definitely not the position you want to be in. You can't use your domain or your cursed spirit manipulation. So I think that Kinjaku here is saying that if Maki somehow warped in front of him, he might just run instead of fighting her. This doesn't mean that he's saying he would just lose to Maki, but it is just an unnecessary risk to take when you could just run away. So I will say this about Maki. It is impressive that she is able to take out one of the big three families on her own. It is also impressive that she makes Kinjaku nervous enough to where he would rather not fight her if he had to. And it also is impressive that she is equal to Toji, somebody who was able to take out the two strongest sorcerers in the past. And she is also part of the group called the Heavy Hitters, as Kinjaku says, filled with Yuta and Hakari. So we know that she has strength that is somewhat comparable to theirs, but she is not exactly their level because of the Gojo statement that we know exists. And I do just want to reference that Gojo statement one more time in case you missed it earlier. Gojo does say that whenever he gets weaker than Yuta or Hakari, then they should step in to help him fight Sukuna. So Maki is not included in this. Yuta and Hakari are viewed as a higher caliber of strength than her, but we do know from Kinjaku's point of view, she still is around Yuta and Hakari's level because she is included in the Heavy Hitters group. So with all of these statements in mind, I would say when it comes down to whether or not Maki should get a special grade rank, I am very on the fence about this, but I would lean more towards the fact of Maki being given the special grade rank, because I can see Maki or Toji, for example, being called a special grade, and it wouldn't be surprising to me because of how powerful they are and the feats that both Maki and Toji have displayed, especially Toji in the past defeating the two most powerful Jujutsu sorcerers and all of the Maki feats that I mentioned earlier. If Maki was given the rank special grade, I definitely think she would be the weakest special grade. So I don't think that she would just be high in special grade. I think she would barely meet the requirement. I don't think she would be stronger than Yuta, Hakari, Yuki, for example, but I do think she would meet this grade because she 100%, along with Toji, are an entire level above every other sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen except for those special grades. So I do think if Maki was given the special grade rank, it would be deserved, but I definitely think she would be the weakest one. And now it is time to get to Yuji Itadori, our main character who undoubtedly shows great strength potential, but right now we don't know whether or not his strength is enough to be classified as a special grade. So I'll look into all of the things that Yuji brings to the table and then give an answer for whether or not he should be given the special grade rank. It is said in the fanbook that Yuji does go stronger through defeats, and that is very apparent if you've read the series, that Yuji, while losing throughout the series, actually gets stronger every fight. But the thing about Yuji is that in order to meet the requirement of special grade, you have to be able to hit as hard or move as fast or be as powerful as the special grade sorcerers. We know that Yuji is very strong, and he definitely has the potential to reach special grade one day, but we have to look at the most impressive things Yuji has done and see if he could maybe meet the requirement. I would say the three most impressive things that Yuji has done in terms of power is beating Mahito whenever Mahito is in his new awakened form. We also have that fight from Sukuna whenever he had 15 fingers but he was in Megami's body. Well, Yuji didn't scale to Sukuna. I would never say that Yuji was anywhere equal to Sukuna in that fight, but he wasn't completely out of the fight with Maki. I would say he was very, very, very low end, able to keep up. But even then, the problem with that is that it does seem that Sukuna's movement may be hindered a bit. I know that translators on Twitter went over the translations for that chapter, and it is still sort of up in the air whether or not that 15-finger Sukuna's movement was hindered in any way. But even then, I wouldn't say that Yuji did anything impressive in that fight, as Sukuna was very bored with him. The best thing he even did in that fight was just almost able to keep up here and there. And the third impressive thing that I'd say Yuji has done is being able to be grade 1 with no curse energy, or very minimal curse energy at all. We know that Yuji has great physical strength, Nanami even calls him superhuman. And although Yuji's physicals are insane, I'd say the one thing holding Yuji back is curse energy amount. His physical body is off the charts. He has a physical body that is on par, even stronger than Todo's. If he just had a bunch of curse energy, then he would be much more powerful. This combined with the fact that in the recent chapters, we saw that Yuji now has claws, which signifies that he maybe has Sukuna's curse technique now. If Yuji had a lot of curse energy combined with the cleave and dismantles, then he would be arguably special grade level. And the reason I say this is because just Yuji gaining cleave and dismantle would not be enough for him to be considered special grade, because even though you can have slashes, they can be weakened to the point where you're not actually even able to beat any special grades around or even be comparable to their level. Because even though you can slash people, you need to have the amount of curse energy behind the slash to damage somebody. Take example for Sukuna. When he was weaker, 1, 2, 3 fingers, his slashes were weaker than they are now in his 20 finger prime form. Remember when Sukuna didn't know that his slashes output was lowered and he was slashing Yuji as Yuji just kept walking forward? That is what would happen if Yuji was to fight somebody stronger than him with cleave and dismantle. His slashes wouldn't actually cut through the opponent, but would rather probably just go through some skin. One thing I'll say about Yuji is that he undoubtedly has the mindset to reach special grade. And if you want to know more about Yuji changing the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen, my friend Jada Satoru made a video on that topic and it is very interesting. So if you want to see whether or not Yuji can change everything, I highly suggest you check out that video. But in my opinion, even though Yuji has a lot of potential, right now, I think it is a bit too early for him to be called special grade. I think that the main thing he is missing is curse energy amount. I think he has the physicals, but the only thing he is lacking is that curse energy. If Yuji was to get the large amount of curse energy that's needed, then I think that he would qualify for a special grade level. One more thing Yuji would need is a domain expansion. Now, Maki wouldn't need one because she's not really getting into any domain tug of wars. Domains already don't work on her body. Hakari has a domain expansion and so does all of the other special grades. So Yuji doesn't have a domain at all, and it's not like he has Maki's body to where he's immune to domains. So Yuji would need to learn some domain techniques. So for the lack of domain techniques and curse energy amount, I do think that it is too early to say that Yuji would be classified as a special grade. And with that being said, I want to thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. And if you enjoyed, then I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I do post on different topics that you guys give me and a few that I come up with on my own. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.